Paradise today, and we shall be continuing with matters of business all the way towards 10 in the morning. Hashtag Biashara Tuesday is what we're interacting using all over social media platforms. Remember to also use Facebook if you're going out of the house or if you're moving around with your device. KUTV Kenya is also live on YouTube, so get us there and give us your comments, interactions. We'll be able to get them. That maize or that unga business reminds me, reminded me of this piece I was reading here on the Daily Nation, the pull-out section of the Daily Nation, Retail Smart Business, the Smart Business section, talking about the new bargain craze, which is shaking up all retail sections across the country. So Kenyans are opting to either purchase small quantities of commodities which are discounted, and this is leading to lower frequencies in purchases, and it's hurting retailers because now it looks like what we are seeing is Kenyans are bargain hunters, have become bargain hunters, where when a product is put on sale promotion, all of them rush to buy lots of the units at once and then never show up at the retailers ever again. This pantry stocking means that the frequency of purchases is going down and hurting a lot of these retail chains. We shall be taking a look at that and the consumer reports, which are also spread here in the pull-out section of the Daily Nation, and also the Business Daily here, matters of business and also developmental projects by the government, always highlighted keenly on the Business Daily. I'll have Edwin Njoroge Jumba, a political activist, joining me here this morning in just a short while to delve much more into what is written here and to also get his views on what the direction is looking like for the country. Just a few days to the elections, by the way. By next week, a time like this, we'd have already known most or if not all of the political positions which are currently open for contesting all across the country. Don't go too far. Biashara Tuesday is coming back. I'd love to hear from you at Richard_Kenya on Twitter. So I'll be right back with the newspaper review section. Grab your newspapers and meet me in just a while.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause? Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Sasa ni bora zaidi, mwanzo mpya, mambo mapya. Msimu mwingine wa Boresha Kilimo unakuletea teknolojia ibuka, kilimo mseto, uongezaji thamani. Teknolojia dijitali ya mauzo inawezesha ufikiaji wa masoko. Soko moko yako, mahangaiko yako ya kufikia masoko yamefika kikomo, manake tunao Mkulima Yangu.
What Mkulima Yangu does is it connects farmers with the market.
Hii ni Boresha Kilimo kwa ushirikiano na Mkulima Yangu. Hatafutaye hachoki na kichoka kesha pata. Kwa makala maalum ya kilimo, ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 6:30 kwenye kipindi ukipendacho Boresha Kilimo.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Imagine living in a society that embraces social justice and equal opportunities for all. On Woman Crush Wednesday, Rise Today, we bring you experts for meaningful conversations on matters, gender equality.
Mimi nasaona hakuna gender equality as we speak.
So we continuously work with the men.
I feel that they're judging the girl.
Parenthood.
Mind is very important in infertility.
Mental and physical health.
You need to be surrounded by a proper network.
After nimeanza healing process, nilikumbuka kuhusu boys na sasa niliacha ghetto. Like kila wakati nilikuwa najaribu kutafuta mbinu yenye naweza wafikishie ujumbe.
I feel like if you have 15 minutes, if you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever amount of time, use it because any physical activity is beneficial. No physical activity is dangerous for you.
And we touch on current affairs.
Marrying is a journey. It means you're taking a journey together.
I'm dying to be different. Changamoto ziko, but you can't sit there saying, oh, mimi nitafanya mziki siku yenye dozi takampe. You look at this person and you're like, wow, they just woke up and they found themselves here.
Join us every Wednesday morning at 7 to 10 a.m. here on Rise Today Woman Crush Wednesday. I am your host, Nina Gikunda.
On this episode of Technovation Show, we bring you an innovation that brings convenience to our sisters.
I decided to come up with this project where I can help girls during their menstruation period, especially girls from informal settlement who cannot afford to purchase pads. When you tap a registered RFID card, it will send a signal to the relay. Then it will activate this two servo motor to release sanitary pads which are packed in these boxes.
All right. Welcome back to Biashara Tuesday on KUTV Rise Today. I have here the newspapers, and alongside is Mr. Edward. Edwin, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sheriff. Yeah,
yes.
It's a privilege to be with you here at KUTV.
How have you been?
And yeah, I've been good.
Yeah.
It's a chilly morning, but not like yesterday. It's a little bit better.
It's a little bit better.
Yeah.
There's temperatures all over the newspapers is what we're trying to have a look at, so that we know that we are well informed. I don't know if there's the interesting stories on your end. I have a lot I've looked at. I maybe say the headlines here. President Raila, it's now or never. That's what the Daily Nation is putting there as the headline. The journey towards the election, 6 days to elections. It's now or never for Raila Odinga as he tries to ascend to the presidency. The Business Daily, India eyes Tullow oil stake in Turkana for 356.5 billion Kenyan shillings. So that is the headline in the Business Daily, and the other headline on the Daily Nation. They're the two that we have here this morning that we shall be mainly concentrating on. But if you have any other, do share the headlines with us so that we know how that is like. To begin with, what do you think of this headline? President Raila, it's now or never.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's his, what I will call his last chance to the ballot, to the presidency. But it also invokes something for his voters. They're being told it's the do or die. It's their time to turn up in numbers. It's their time to prove that they've been winning, like they've been claiming before.
Yeah.
But it also raises a concern to the other side. Quite the headline now.
Right. They
Yeah.
say that between someone who has something to lose and someone who has nothing to lose, I don't know who's more dangerous, but this time looks like Raila has something to lose, more than before. And as we are seeing here at the page 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the Daily Nation, which have concentrated the whole story on Raila Odinga and his efforts towards the presidency. Over in Bondo, preparations already.
I don't know whether to call it a cause of worry or a cause of celebration, because why would the government, because this is basically the government using its own resources to prepare the grounds for the incoming president, or who they say they have already decided this is the incoming president, because I'm not seeing the same works happening in Sugoi.
Yeah, I was asking because if we are going to have roads being repaired and a lot of preparations happening towards Bondo, something mystical for that area, and then the same should maybe be seen over in Sugoi. I don't know if there are guys in Sugoi who have noticed any development projects.
Not only in Sugoi, I think Wajakoya has a residency, Maore has a residency, so I think we should be working on that. So
Right.
I don't know what
Everyone
are the
should be
preparations.
preparing for their home ground to receive them as the next president.
Yeah.
However, we do know why this is happening. Of course, being one of the factors being that the president is also in support of Raila Odinga, and this being the last time that Raila Odinga is trying or getting his hopes at a possible presidency. Whichever way it goes, the preparations have already been done. Are they counting the chicks before they hatch? Or it's okay to also have some sense of confidence if you see, because currently the polls, I think, do rank Raila Odinga ahead of William Ruto. Has been the case for almost every other elections, however, but are they counting too early?
I think first of all we can say that the polls have been questioned numerously by different people. So I don't know whether we can rely on that as the results for the elections.
Yeah.
So I could say that they are counting their chicks before they hatch, but let's wait and see.
Right.
But my focus is also drawn on the picture on the front page.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi, and there is Uhuru and Raila. Are they trying to mend the peace that was lost then? Is the politics of deceit being, are we amending what we lost then, or what? Or is it a continuation of what has been happening?
Right. The dynastic political feud between the two families, of course, which started back in, I think, 1969 or even way early around there.
Yeah.
So at this point, these two, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, are calling each other brother.
Yeah.
Which, if we remember, the relationship between their fathers was ended sour, and of course between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga has not been the best for the past 10 years. And now we are seeing a situation where they, according to the Daily Nation here, asking, have Uhuru and Raila managed to heal the sins of their fathers? They've tried to repair the damage. Questions, however, are there underlying factors, which means maybe one party is trying to protect their interests more than we could say them trying to mend their brotherhood?
What I'd say is that they're actually continuing with their father's sins. Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi turned out so. That was taken down to Moi and Saitoti, who was to be handed over power to, and also to Raila. Both of them were played in that game. Now Kibaki came in and did not give it to Raila, as had promised. Comes in Uhuru, promises Ruto 10. He's 10 and Ruto's 10. And now he's played in the same game. He's
shifting the
goalposts from Ruto to Raila. So I think it's a continuation. I think the politics in Kenya is the politics of deceit. You can never trust your neighbor or your friend. Friends turn foes and foes turn friends. So it's a continuation of what has been happening.
Right.
And I think it's all about interest. Politics is all about interest. So I think everybody is safeguarding their interests, and let's see how it turns up.
Right.
There.
Life has gone full circle for almost every political dynasty. Dynasty for that case, if you consider Uhuru and Raila, and also Raila and Ruto, because these were a couple, if I may call them so, in 2007. And then, you know, the marriage changed from Raila and Ruto to Ruto and Uhuru. And now it has shifted to Uhuru and Raila. So it means maybe these scenes are there. It's just they are shifting camp for their scenes. Now it is a political feud between Uhuru Kenyatta and definitely Ruto. And still picking up on that, of course, we've seen the several remarks which are coming from either camp. If you take a look at page 4, 5, 6, and 7, I think it's all spread there. The remarks between coming from Uhuru Kenyatta to Ruto and from Ruto to Uhuru, whether one will hand over power to the other, whether there's, of course, as you said, we've always questioned, there's always been questions of the polls for the past 4 or 5 times the elections, for the past 4 or 5 elections. And now we're seeing a situation where Ruto has been claiming that President Uhuru does not want to hand over power to him, even if he wins. However, it looks like President Uhuru Kenyatta is confident that Raila Amolo Odinga is going to win. Are we going to witness a situation where now Ruto also becomes the new Raila, or there is also a dispute in these current elections, or are we going to have a free, fair, and fair elections where it's just a one-day affair, 2 days, 3 days, we're back to work?
What I'd say about the current political bigwigs, that is Ruto and Raila, both are elite in their game. They are enigmas, and they have their numbers. They have pulled up their numbers, and so first of all, they have all encouraged their teams, and all they have made a deja vu, or a scenario where all their supporters think that they're ones that are winning. So that is a reason to worry, because both teams are awaiting victory. I think they are all ready to shout victory. You can hear Kenya Kwanza shouting, freedom is coming, and Azimio shouting inawezekana. They are actually all ready for the inauguration. I think Kasarani is one of the most booked areas right now. But it's a cause to worry on what next. But for the president, he has no otherwise, and unless as to hand over power to whoever is coming in.
Yeah.
Because even when the Democrats didn't want to give it to Trump,
they had to.
And when Trump didn't really want to give it up
to Biden, he still did it.
Yeah, so it's a matter of following the Constitution. He has no other choice but to hand over power to whoever is elected to president.
Right. Speaking of preparations, of course, and also calling out to their voters to turn out, President Uhuru has been seen, of course, going over the country and urging voters to directly come out and support Raila Amolo Odinga. And one of his quotes here, as he was in Nyanza, saying that, I know you love Baba, that is Mr. Odinga, but the problem is you people just make noise here, lying to me, but do not turn out during voting. I hope you will not disappoint me this time round. Ensure you come out to the last man to vote for Baba na Mama. Is this the voice of someone who's worried, or is he trying to get more votes?
I don't think they would want to project the voice of someone who is worried, but they are trying to consolidate their grounds. Yeah, that you've made a promise to me, and if you really want this, it's our chance now, and it's your time to come out and make sure we cover all ground. And it's also very funny that Uhuru is urging Nyanza voters to turn out. It was only a few years ago that it was in layman language or in Kikuyu, kumera kumera duraku duraku in Central. So I think that's the same language
Have they found a term for kumera kumera in Nyanza?
I'm yet to hear that. Yeah, it will be a nice one to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course. Now here also we've seen before Rigathi Gachagua also urging residents in Rift Valley region, in Nandi, telling them also to turn up for the vote in this year. Seeing it looks like the mountain is split. Kumera kumera might not be going one way or the other. Probably two roads diverging into two different woods. Or what do you say on that?
Yeah, I think with the fact that both presidential candidates went for a running mate in in Mount Kenya or in the central region tells you that the central region is the region to watch. It is where we'll get what we would call the swing vote that will decide who is president. So I think everyone is really watching on that. And being the last days, I think it's a rush. You go back to your home ground, make sure it's consolidated, and then come back to Mount Kenya and make sure your ground is set. Yeah.
All right, but now if we consider that the fact that both of these candidates who are prime candidates have split the votes in Mount Kenya region, Rigathi Gachagua going to get a chunk, Martha Karua going to get a chunk and delivering it to respective camps. Is the Mount Kenya region still the region to watch out for? Are these votes coming, the deciding votes, are they going to come from Mount Kenya anymore if they're split in that manner? Maybe the Rift Valley is a new Mount Kenya region.
But I think everyone has their own strongholds and they are confident with that. So if we would look at North Rift or basically the whole of the Rift Valley, we'd call that a Ruto stronghold. And if we look at Western and Nyanza, we'd call that Raila stronghold in the coast region. So basically Mount Kenya is the deciding vote. And I don't think any politician would want to lose that vote. I think it's the prerogative of every politician to put their first foot forward and ensure that they are here day and night. I think the campaigns are about to be closed by the IBC. So it's the last hustle and bustle.
Right.
So I don't know.
Due to that, might we be looking at a runoff, maybe, because of this splitting of votes in the Mount Kenya region, even as you mentioned that Western region being Raila Odinga's backyard, if we take a look at Kenya Kwanza's team, has been making efforts on the Western region, Mudavadi, Wetangula, also trying to split those votes and getting them over to the Kenya Kwanza side. In Nyanza, the DP still received warmly when he goes to Kisumu or such regions. President Uhuru the same and Raila the same as well. In the central region, we've seen, people wearing, whether they're wearing yellow or wearing or blue, or trying to vote blue or yellow on the side of Kenya Kwanza. Might we be looking at either a disputed election, but first of all, might we be taking a look at a runoff, where none of these candidates are able, if we also consider the fact that there are people like Wajakoya and Maure who are also a factor in these elections. Especially Wajakoya.
Yeah. Basically, I think with the introduction of Wajakoya in the race, he really tipped some sides, and he brought into the spectrum an array of there being a runoff, with him being able to capture the youth, who are a big number or a big chunk of the voters who are around. So I think a runoff is it's not something either of the two top politicians would want. That's why they're trying to push, but it's not something we can wish away.
Okay.
We cannot tell because the constitution clearly says it's 50% plus one vote. So I do not know whether both politicians either of the politicians will be able to garner the full amount that we need to call it done after the 9th.
Right. Mutai Ngunyi, one of the top political analysts in the country, of course, also did his own projections, saying that Raila Odinga will be getting 51% of the votes, and also Ruto coming in second at 45%. So that's his projection, saying that DP Ruto should be heading home as soon as possible. Looking over at the polls and preparations, there's an observation team which is already in place. Former Tanzania President Jakaya Kikwete will be leading that EAC delegation to be observing the election observation mission for the general elections scheduled for Tuesday next week. So that's happening. The East African community has eyes on Kenya, and also the international community as well. Of course, we've seen the US government. The ambassador to Kenya from the United States just arrived in the country few days ago, and also well received. So it's important that we take note of these developments which are happening and the kind of observation we are receiving from the international community. Do you feel now we did have a situation where in the last elections they were nullified in 2017. Before that, we had disputed elections. Raila Odinga has disputed the elections since 2007 up to now. This kind of observation being, or poll observation teams being put in place, and the preparations that we've done, have we prepared enough for free and fair elections from your eyes now?
I said there's a cause to worry. With the recent back and forth between the government or the security structure and the IBC, that brings a lot of cause to worry, and that's why I think the international community is really coming in to check up what's happening, because when you find a heated debate between those who are supposed to offer security for the elections and those who are supposed to conduct the elections, that brings a lot of questions. When you find that some documentations or some officials of the IBC are being arrested, or some documentation being held in the airports, due procedure not being followed. Because if you can remember, the 2017 election was nullified, not because of the count, but because of a technicality.
In transmission.
Yeah, in transmission and all that. So it's high time IBC pulls up its socks as it trains the POs. I think that's happening right now, to work on that, ensure that all due procedures are followed, everything is secured, and so that no politician will have an excuse to complain to IBC.
Right.
And I think that when you see such big people coming into the country, and all these international people getting into the country, it also tells you of the importance of Kenya to the international market. It's the gateway to Africa. So I think it's for us to play it right. Kenya is a growing economy, and we really need to live past this election.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, as you said, there's a need to worry, and what I'm worried about is this case that happened a few days ago, just last week, where there was an arrest of Venezuelan nationals. I don't know if you remember that. Some time back. And the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and IEBC have, did agree, of course, to end the row between them over the arrest of these Venezuelan nationals, and they pledged to work together and resolve the differences away from the public. So they did this behind closed doors. However, this was an issue where these 3 Venezuelan residents or citizens were arrested at the airport with election stickers, and they've now decided to take it behind closed doors. Should I be concerned? Could some mathematics being done to balance the books before records are being set next week on Tuesday?
That's why I said we really need to follow due procedure. Everything needs to be put in check, because after elections, whoever might be a sole loser might use this against IBC or against the government, and everybody would agree with them. Because the moment you tell me, you already brought it up to me, I already know it's there. Then you go back behind closed doors and say you agree. What are you agreeing on?
This is
already there was an issue. This is a matter of national security, and also it covers everything. So I think IBC really needs to check up on what it's doing.
Right.
And also there's what we call public opinion. They should really make sure that they manage everything.
Right. The Court of Public Opinion has also agreed to whatever it is they're doing behind closed doors.
Yes.
So that is what is happening for election preparedness, and also in both camps. That is the main camps, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja. I haven't heard about Bwana Professor George Wajakoya for a minute. What may be happening over at the Roots Party? Mti imetingika sana.
I think Wajakoya started off well with the economic plan, with the legalization of what I'd call marijuana. But I think on his manifesto launch, that's where he lost it all. When he started introducing other aspects of rearing snakes and
getting higher gonads.
Yeah. So that's where he lost it all. He started looking like a joker. And I think that's where he lost his base, because he had a really strong base of very many youth, mostly the youth. But when he started looking mediocre, I think he's lost a huge chunk of it. And I think he also started off with a lot of energy, but he did not measure his own capacity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he took his last breath before it was time for the finish line, which is next week on Tuesday. As you've mentioned, there are two things come up in my mind. It's the youth, as you said. Professor George Wajakoya did manage to, spike some interest from the youth who are now coming out from voter apathy to say, we were not going to vote, but this time we have someone we can vote for. At least I can speak for the youth who I have interacted with for some time now. And we've just seen a piece there done by Ann Odida on KUTV talking about voter apathy. Questions being raised by the youth on whether they really matter in this sort of elections, whether these decisions have already been made. I saw the BBC also did a small experiment a week ago where they were asking a couple of youth to sit together and discuss whether or not they're going to vote. And more than half of them still do say that they did not have a reason to vote. Could the lack of representation of the youth in these manifestos, agenda, policies, and plans be the reason that the youth don't vote? Or is it that there is a general sense of predetermined elections, which the youth say, there's no point of voting if it's already been decided?
To be fair to the politicians, the manifestos that have been launched are quite inclusive to the youth. But I think the question that the politicians really need to ask is the issues that you've tackled for the youth, are they really what the youth need? The other one is the reason for voter apathy is the fact that when governments have been put in place with their manifestos and their agendas, they have not really fulfilled on what they have promised. And I think it's a protest. It's not the youth being lazy or anything. It's just a protest. They're trying to push a message that if you are going to get into that seat of power, that you really need to work on what you've promised. Not just to the youth, but to each and every person in the country. Because I think for the voter apathy will not be only for the youth, but also for very many other residents who are, especially during these tough economic times, when unga has raised to that high price, when fuel, people cannot manage to go with their vehicles to work, when people are not able to manage their children are already coming back home just 2 weeks after they went to school, and now when they're going back, there'll be school fees. With all that pressure on Kenyans, I think the politicians really need to come out clear with their plans and ensure that the Kenyans have understood why. But either way, I would really want to ask the youth to really come out in their numbers, look at the manifestos and come out and vote.
All right. Are the manifestos being peddled by politicians in favor of entrepreneurs is the question that I also ask, because we know we've seen over the past 3 months political parties coming out to put out their agenda, which they wish push through for the next 5 years. The street word is manifestos, but those who know well, they know that these are also plans with no clear end game. So be keen on what exactly they're promising and how they intend to deliver that. I know you've mentioned there that students are coming back home. Such an impromptu decision by the Ministry of Education. The Daily Nation does say that it is a decision which was made on higher levels, even way above, according to their sources, above CS Magoha. Should we have a government that is making decisions on such an impromptu basis, especially during these times where parents have been struggling to take them back to school, and then now, you're told tomorrow, pick your kids back from school, 2-week break for the elections. We do know that most of these primary schools and secondary schools are polling stations, so maybe they're preparing the polling stations. What say you?
First, this country is being run in such a way. I think we are running rogue in a way, and I think there are people who are supposed to do their job that are not really doing what they're supposed to be doing.
How can you get the CS off guard?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
CS of education.
And also the CS and his office. When we are creating the calendar, the August 9th is enshrined in the Constitution. Literally, it's enshrined in that Constitution. What were your plans? because that is also a question to CS Magoha.
Mhm.
And also, if the decision was made way above CS Magoha,
Mhm.
the question also comes in: who is really running this country?
Mhm.
Because we have had these decisions that have been going like this, where an announcement is just made, and you wonder
who made this
who
decision?
made this decision and why.
Mhm.
Are these people looking at the long-term and short-term effects of what is happening?
Mhm.
Primary school kids and the ECD kids were just about to do their midterm examinations.
Mhm.
Now they have to forego that.
Right. And this is a high pressure year, especially because they've squeezed, I think, 4 terms into 1 year.
Yeah.
All right, with no extracurricular activities or contact with the outside world.
Yeah.
This back and forth pushing of students, it's not healthy for the education.
To the education and also to the parent. I would really want to look at the parent,
Mhm.
because the parent has had to give school fees
Mhm.
for the child to go to school. This parent was also asked for money for bus fare for this kid to go to school.
Mhm.
Abruptly, yesterday, you just told this person, come and pick your kid from school.
Mhm.
Where will they get the fare from? Where will they get the fees to come back for the other half term?
Right.
And when will they really open? Because being this an electioneering period, things are really
anyway.
tight, and
Yeah.
we never know.
Yes,
Yeah.
we never know. One of those things we mentioned, we never know, is the polls, disputing of the polls. And I think I'll just finish up with that on the Daily Nation, where they're saying that candidates who dispute the outcome of the elections have 7 days to file a presidential petition, which will run to August of 23rd. So if that goes, it means schools will not reopen way up to until at least August of 23rd, when the Supreme Court will have 14 days again to determine whether the validity of the allegations raised by, whether there is validity of the allegations which have been raised. So this could go up to September 6th, according to these predictions. And if the court upholds the results, the winner will be sworn in by September 13th. So if this happens as it did in 2017, it means the students are out for quite some time, but hopefully we don't get there, right? All right, so that is the Daily Nation and the Business Daily. I think I'll begin with something interesting. I saw a few, that was yesterday, and you mentioned there that Professor George Wajakoya did come in with, good promises of legalization of marijuana and using it as an economic front to pay our loans and all of that. And Kenya and Somalia, Kenya had, banned the exportation of miraa to Somalia, and now it has exported. Now, since 4 days since the resumption of the Somalia market, Kenya exported 221 million worth of miraa in 4 days. Since the resumption of the Somali market, which means it is playing a significant role in this commodity is playing a significant role in the economy. Maybe Professor George Wajakoya does have a point. We should be concentrating on a few of these items. If miraa does bring 221 million in 4 days, it means in a month it's a lot. And if indeed marijuana does bring those millions per bag, as he says, we could be paying our loans faster than most.
I'd say it's more of a moral question than an economic question.
Mhm.
Because on the economic front, we would say, yeah, it works.
Mhm.
But on the moral front, I think me and you, or
how so?
If I'd go and tell my mother or my father that I want to engage in marijuana business, I think I would receive a lot of condemnation. So it's a matter of educating the society on the benefits. And also, I think what people really did not get with Wajakoya, with the marijuana story, was that he was not really introducing marijuana for consumption, but much more for value addition, which was high in fiber.
Yeah.
Which will be used for exportation and building, I think he said aeroplane frames and some few other fibers that were really need to be used.
Yeah.
But for the common man to understand that is quite a task. And I do not know whether we are ready as a country to do that.
Right.
But for the miraa front, being there and we having been doing it for a while, I think we can also follow the route.
All right.
but we really need a legal framework to work it out.
Or to make the implementation possible.
Yeah.
However, we still do know that marijuana is used heavily in the country. If any of the arrest cases are anything to go by, I think we have an average of maybe 2 arrests a month, and it's worth millions, and that's just a few peddlers. So if we opened business, not for consumption, but for exportation and all of that economic activity that Wajakoya has laid out in his plan, I think, as you said, with good framework of implementation, we'll be on our way there. One of the other things maybe we should be concentrating on is our Turkana asset, the Tulo oil, which is now about to or up for acquisition by 2 Indian state-backed companies. And according to Bloomberg News Agency reporting here, the stake will be between $2 billion and $3 billion. And this might be something that will revive the production of oil over in Turkana. Relief, maybe, maybe not.
Basically for me, queries. Because we were once told of how Ngamia 1 and 2 had a lot of oil. Then there was some drilling of some oil. It was exported to a country unknown to Kenyans because it was never gazetted. But all we know is that some tankers left the shores of Kenya for refining. And now I'd say I'd say it might be a cause of relief, but it also brings out a lot of queries because that amount of money, $3 billion, is not a little amount of money, which shows that there is a value in those mines and in the oil fields. And I think what we really need in this country is things really need to be put out into the light. We really need to know what is happening to our oil. And bringing in the story of oil, I think we really need to check on our refinery. We have Changamwe refinery. Where are we really renewing our oil outside? So yeah, we really need to check up on that. Let's do value addition in the country, create jobs in the country, and make sure that the cost of fuel really goes down, because we cannot be a producer of oil and also be incurring the high cost of oil like other people who are importing.
Right. India is the world's 4th largest oil consumer. So if we are able to maybe export on one hand, that will raise hopes towards making more revenue from that market. But as you've said, it raises queries, and it's important that we get to a situation where most of these public infrastructure or development projects are put on a public repository, for example, so that Kenyans can get to access what are the deals going on back there, who is benefiting, who has what stake. For example, here in Tulo, the current operator of that Turkana production, oil production, they own 50% stake with while partnering with Africa Oil Corp, and Total Energy has 25% each. So Total Energies and Africa Oil Corp have 25, and Tulo has 50% stake. However, the Energy Ministry is also downplaying some of those concerns by Kenyans on the delayed oil dream, saying that the plans are finally taking shape, and we are going to see a situation where this kind of strategic investment will boost efforts in production and also sale of this oil. So maybe not. Take a look at the Business Daily on page 1 and 2. You'll get to see all of the action that is happening in Turkana. Hapo chini on the Business Daily, Equity Bank CEO is also on a very interesting land draw, and this is he's being accused of having land acquired from President Moi in 2012 for 310 million, and it said that it's not his. There's also another director, Anverali Amershi Kamali, who is also laying claim to this property, saying that he also bought it from former finance minister Arthur Magugu and his wife for 130 million. One bought it for 310 million, the other for 130 million. I'm always curious, do we not have enough enough records or enough structure in the lands ministry to avoid such cases? If someone as of the stature that Equity Bank CEO holds is involved in a land dispute that maybe he bought land that he didn't know is not up for sale, what about common mwananchi uko chini whose land is getting grabbed every day?
Basically, I can remember when we were doing the politics segment, I said that this country is running rogue because we have institutions that either do not do their work or their work is curtailed, and there seems to be a group of people or a gang of people are somewhere seated that really controls what is happening in this country. With such land rows happening all over, it also shows you the amount of corruption in the country. If you could get CEOs of such big companies involved in such, this is a multinational company right now, Equity. So if you find the CEO involved in such a tussle, it really brings a lot of queries.
Right.
And
I think we've also seen the same from Telecom Kenya, where there's also a land dispute between them and the Kenya Defence Forces as well.
Yeah.
So if we have such situations of high-ranking officials in private companies and the government also being involved in there, it raises questions on how rogue we've gotten.
Yeah, just recently, KU.
Okay.
You never know.
Wow, that's quite a segue there, but yes, exactly, just like has been happening over at Kenyatta University. That is it for us here on the newspaper review section, the Business Daily, the Daily Nation. If you have anything else that you'd like to share with us, do tell us on the social media at KUTV Kenya. Kwanza, they've really changed the format of this Business Daily. I'm not used to the look, yeah? So the editor, I wish I could get the name quickly, but I'll get it. Editor Business Daily, take care of this format. Read first the quote here, the last words by Nelson Mandela this morning on the Business Daily.
Yeah, here it goes. Let's recommit to work towards our common goal, a nation where all of us are winners, all of us have shelter, food, and education. Nelson Mandela.
Let's take it again, once more.
Yeah, okay. Let's recommit to work towards our common goal, a nation where all of us are winners, all of us have a shelter, food, and education. Nelson Mandela, former president, South Africa.
All right. With that quote by Nelson Mandela, it brings us to the end. Thank you very much for coming through, Edwin.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to have you.
It was also a pleasure.
I'm hoping that we can meet, I hope, a week after the elections, not more than that, so that we see what has happened. I'm hoping that the elections will have been done by next week on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's also my hope that the elections will go through well, and it's also been a pleasure being here, and I will want to come back, and also hoping that we get back when things are way better, and we are moving forward, because there is a Kenya after this election.
Right, there's a Kenya after this election. That's a message from Edwin. We're going for a short break. Economy ya mtaani. It's a segment new here on Biashara Tuesday, where we get to highlight some stories of the guys who are doing business pale chini. If you're someone who has a small business going on pale mtaani, we do try and get to you, learn a few lessons from you, and pick one, two that we can share for the show. So that is coming up in a short while. However, there's something interesting before I go for that break that I saw here on the Smart Business segment of the Daily Nation, where they're urging they're urging SMEs to ensure they're having digital financial records. So that is there on powering SMEs at the middle of the Daily Nation. But at the beginning there, I also did see an opinion piece by someone who's saying that for you to create content in this generation, the media needs to concentrate on how they can have appeal on Generation Z, Gen Z. Gen Z are the ones born between 1995 and 1997. Their most available location, if you want to meet them today, go over to TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. You'll find them. So how do you appeal to them in business, and how do you appeal to them even in content generation? I'm going to have a look at one of the businesses which are doing very well in e-commerce and also trying to advance in logistics and provision of business solutions on platforms which are enabled by technology. That is John Grant, the founder and CEO of ePlug, is coming through to talk to us about how he's been advancing e-commerce and logistics, especially in this time of the digital era. So don't miss out on that. We're getting more of your feedback. I'll be reading it once I'm back on air. Don't go too far. Biashara Tuesday. We'll be right back with you.
On this episode of Technovation Show, we bring you an innovation that brings convenience to our sisters.
I decided to come up with this project where I can help girls during their menstruation period, especially girls from informal settlement who cannot afford to purchase pads. When you tap a registered RFID card, it will send a signal to the relay, then it will activate this two servo motor to release sanitary pads which are packed in these boxes.
The percentage in which government is giving opportunities to this specific type of groups under the AGPO, like what percentage has the government given?
No, but like I said, you see, when a budget is done for every year, every ministry will be able to place their budget for it. But whatever is given to them, 30% of the budget for that ministry is dedicated to AGPO. 30%. So if let's assume, for instance, that a ministry is given 2 billion, for instance. Now, 30% of 2 billion would be about 600 million. That will be dedicated to AGPO. And therefore, when you go to a ministry, as a young person, as a person living with disability, 600 million is actually meant for you.
This is The Agenda with Benturo Kumbuka and Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna.
Kenya Limited. EB Mobility Kenya Limited is a electric bicycle company. We do something known as VAS. VAS is Vehicle as a Service, where we offer out electric bicycles to different users for different activities, mainly around mobility. So think of your traditional bicycle, but with a bit of propelling, with a motor attached to it that allows you to propel yourself faster when you further when you ride, and also has the ability to allow you to cycle longer without getting as tired or as flushed as. And so EB started under the two founders of EB are from the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, cycling is a norm. It's everywhere you go. So when they came to Kenya, they saw one of the things is that there's a lot of traffic, and a lot of the time guys get stuck in traffic. So how do you create an option, a smart option that allows people to maneuver through traffic easier and faster without getting stuck in that congestion? And they decided to bring what they had in Europe here to us, so electric bicycles. These bicycles have a range of about 70 kilometers on a battery. The cyclist is able to cycle comfortably without getting as tired as it would have been on a traditional bicycle. So when we first started, we had bikes which came in from other parts of the world. These bikes were not necessarily designed for the African market. So one of the things that we have done is we've gone back to the drawing board to come up with a bike that will be good fit for Africa, let's put it like that. One of the things that we are clear about is that for us, a lot of people want to use these bicycles for business purposes, which then means that they want to be able to cycle longer. When we started, we thought the average duration of a battery should be about 70 kilometers. However, we are seeing guys doing more than 70 kilometers in a day, which then means you have to provide them with something that allows them to cycle longer. Yeah, what is unique about EB? It's a bicycle. You know, most people look at a bicycle and think it's a poor man's form of transportation. But these bicycles are not like that. They are actually an option, a solid and a smart option for transportation. It allows you to get from one place to another. It doesn't define who you are. Rather, you define what you want it to do for you. which makes it a smart choice for anyone who uses it. Defining what it is. Most people look at it in the beginning, even when we did the first importation, people thought they were motorbikes, but they're not motorbikes. It's just a bicycle with a battery. So helping people come to the appreciation of what it is, those were challenges. Also the fact that there are no policies around these kind of assets then also makes it a little bit complicated. Because you want to do the right thing, not just for ourselves, but even for the users on the road and helping them understand. So training guys on how to use a bicycle, you're bringing in a new asset class onto the roads. How do you make sure that this asset class does not create more inefficiencies, but allows people to use them seamlessly as they do go about their day-to-day activities? So one of the strategies was finding ourselves somebody who actually believed in the success of this. That's why we reached out to Quatrix and Jumia. Quatrix provided us the riders, Jumia provided us the ability to demonstrate that this is a solid option. And then with these guys, we were able to put the bikes on the road and then allow people to see how well they perform and how solid they are. So attaching yourselves to the right kind of partners, creating the right kind of partnerships is a very good stepping stone, because then it allows you to move faster and easier. And also for these partnerships you create, like the one we've created with Quatrix and Jumia, we're able to show other businesses how to be smart in their choice of mobility, creating a different class of operators, creating a new business stream for new users to come in and actually operate. The ability to ride and the joy to want to make money for yourself, right? So most of our guys come here and they know that this is an option for them to make money. So what we do look at is, what is your level of integrity and your personal drive? Most of our riders here come with, they'll tell you, the last time I rode a bicycle, I was 16 years old, right? And then after that, once they get onto this bicycle, they see how it benefits them personally, then the rest becomes easy. So our selection is basically, can you ride a bicycle? If the answer is yes, then you're welcome to come and try us out. The learning curve, right? This is a whole different market. It's a whole different situation to be in, but it's an exciting one. So every day as I wake up and I love my problems, I continue doing it because it means I still have the passion to continue driving this. Those problems I know are challenges. I see them as opportunities to make things better. And as long as I still enjoy them, I'll continue doing this. Success. Success is very personal to people. I don't compare it to the next person. I compare it to my daily achievements. So what are the goals I set for myself? What's my mission? What's my vision? And how have I planned to get there? As long as I'm taking those steps to get myself there, then I am successful. I am worthy of the success I have achieved. There are people in that success journey who will help push us to where we need to go. And those people also help us determine whether our success factors are set right. And those are people we appreciate to have around us. If your dream is not big enough, if it doesn't scare you enough, then dream bigger and be scared more. That then drives you to want to do better. And no matter how many times you hear no, always remember there'll always be somebody who will say yes. And that one yes might equal to a successful business that you never thought would thrive. An electrical bicycle for Africa. Come visit us, try us out. Look at our bikes as a smart choice, an economical choice that allows you the ability to become somebody different. Somebody with the ability to want to see not just a better themselves, but a better future for everyone.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. Shukuru sana. So vile twa Sensimset mkazi natoka Kibra namba 8. So hapa for now na wakaizi via Quatrix amalgamate two companies doing one thing. Like Idbi provide services and Quatrix offer hizo jobs. So mimi nilipata kazi through Quatrix. So Quatrix being haikuwa na opportunity ya kudogo bikes. Ilibidi sawa kujua amalgamate na Idbi. To me, Idbi for them, their work is to offer services of bike. To offer the bike itself, to offer the services and the duty and the etc. So mimi pata kazi through Idbi. My account manager is a lady, is called June. So we now for Quatrix and Idbi. So Idbi being a company, doing bikes. You can have two different bikes. You can have cruise, you can have tronics, and you can have Sparta. So these three bikes, they have differences. Difference comes in. So I'm gonna cruise doing number one. That's a cruise because the frame is long. Then operate to different the other one. So a cruise, pick according to when you direct because the gears go up. So the gears like first after power return from the gate to the rocks, unakuta from the different the power. Then for this one, as you pedal the add, it's going from high, medium to low. So when you put the medium side, it goes slowly according to your movement. Medium to, let me say, half faster than this high, it's going much faster than the other ones. That's why then, as for it again, you can use it, the plus sign. It's not a matter that you have to pedal for it to work. You can press this one, then it's have to move on its own. That's why there's a difference between this one, the cruise, and the other one. Yeah, for again, okay, for it, it's much easier, it's more lighter. You can use both manual and electric. That's why for it, it's 100% electric. Because you can use manual, again, you can use electric purely without turning. This one, okay, it has a battery. Cannot pull this battery. Okay, this one is being charged. It is rechargeable. So you don't have to pay for it to be charged. It's not dynamic. This one, it is like it has a charging system. This one here. There's a capacity of weight that is take which is something like 11.92 hertz. So that one, this one is the battery. So after charging it, you have to plug it in. Then after plugging it in, it can't be on itself. You have to go further place it in the bike. Then you have to lock it for the stability and for the safety. Like I've just done it. So from there you have to power, okay, it has a power indicator here. You have to power it on. Then from there again, from here, the next stage again you have to power it from here. So for the cruise, the name is a cruise of Aqua because the company is on that manufactured this one, it's called a cruise and Hero. So this one, it's got the name Tron. So the training, it's preferred because it's pure according to because how you cycle, the faster it goes. So when you get to this one, people must fight because it goes without it is on you to direct it. Lakini kwako niomba wewe peleke ufanye kila kitu unataka nitakupeleka. Sivyo sio kama this one because for the cruise these are stages that you have to go according to like it has a sensor. This one it's you and you. So this one you share 50-50 with the bike. The bike provides 50 electricity, you provide 50% power. That's why it's called 100%. So from there, this one is called shifters, not gears. So these shifters, this person is to add the gears, and this one is to reduce the gears. Just then, maybe by cycling, it has to drop for this one. It has 1, 2, 3 to 6. It is 6 speed, not 21 speed. So this one is a dropper. So these are the shifters. You see then after opening this one the battery is always being rechargeable. The port is usually designed for the cruise. It even has 3 sets. So after charging it, have to place it here. And see after opening it, the vision is After opening it, then you come to this side. So this side is it's showing that when it's full, it is half or it is empty. If it is upcharged, it will indicate this one is the yellow side, then this one is when it's full, it indicates green, when it's empty, it always indicates red. So when it's full, when it is full and completely full, the green light always continues. Then this one is for the lights, for the rear lights. For the first one, this one to press on it. Then this one is the phone handler. Then this one cuts the bell here. After that, the bell of the gear is the bell. Here we go to this sound. So this one, when you cycle, okay, the motor is somewhere here. This is the motor, as you can see. This is the motor here. But it has some terminals inside the battery, so that one that's part of electricity between the motor and the battery. So that's why it was given the name Tronics because of the frame and also how heavy it is. This one is okay. This one is prepared for a longer distance and compared to that one because this one has an extra battery, so you can cover many kilometers with it because you can use even three batteries within 2 days. So for one battery like this one, it goes for almost, this one when it's fully charged, this one is supposed to go for 70 kilometers. Take one to go for 70 kilometers for it to be empty. So from there it has to be again to be charged. For it to take for like 6 to 8 hours for it to be completely charged. So people prefer this one because for the longer distance and longer delivery. That's why it's much heavy, you can carry very much load. That's why people prefer this one and compare to their cruiser. And the cruise doesn't have an extra battery. One battery will take 8 hours for it to be fully charged. But for this one, we have 2 to 3. You can even go, let's say, shall go and come back during the days preferred. This one can go up to 60 to 45 to 60 kilometers. Many kilometers, depending on how fast you cycle with it. That's why most people prefer the Tronic. Okay, the company itself is called Tronic. That's why it was given the name Tronic. Yeah. So this one, we call it Sparta. Yeah, for this one, we always rate it. Some rate it number 1 before a cruise, but for me I rate a cruise, then come for number 2. The reason it's called Sparta because of maybe say the frame. You see the frame is different to the other two that I've just shown you before. The it's called Sparta because look at this. They come from the same company, Aero, but it was called Sparta because of the frame is different. Then it's much lighter compared to a cruise. Then the battery lasts much more faster. It has an extra battery, just like the Tronics. But now the difference comes in the locking and the speed. This one also, just like the cruise, it has the shifters and the gears. So it tastes much better than the other one. This one is having the gears here, the shifters here, it has 1 to 7. It is 7 speed. For the Tronic was 6 speed. But this one, the difference comes in, apart from the frame and the shifters, with the gears, the power button also, it brings the difference between the cruise and the Tronics. For the Tronics, after immediately plugging the battery in, you have to press the key. But this one, after pressing the key and plugging the battery in, you still have to unlock it from here. You can press on this power button, it's up here. So you can press on the power button. Let me show you. Yeah, see when you press on the power button, so it has a negative and a positive sign. So this one should reduce the speed, and this one to increase the speed. So we have Tour, we have Eco, we have Turbo, and we have Sport. Tour is the slowest speed, the Sport for it is the medium high, then the Turbo, that's the faster. That's how fast you can go. The diesel almost goes to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, depending on how much you cycle. But increase the speed here and also on the pedals. That's the difference between diesel and diesel. The diesel again, you can also make it to work. Like you can go for a shorter distance. Maybe say you have a longer distance, but you want to go at a slower speed so that it not consume too much battery. So you have to this one have to reduce the speed from here. See this one, it will work. As you can see. For this one, you don't have rush and just have to pedal like go for delivery. maybe a shorter distance, you don't have to use much power and maybe electricity, so we play this one. But now we want to go for a business discussion, let me say, we press on that turbo to add the speed. That's why it bring a difference. Then this one on the lock, tell us how the difference on the lock. This on the lock are here. With the lock, this is how you do it. This is the lock. You see the key, you twist the key, one side and you press this one down. Then again you bring the key to do what you consider, then you remove it. So this one is lock. No one can get access to it. No one, you see, when I tell you, can't move. That's how you can lock it on. That's from closing the charger and the power, making it off. This is how best you can close it. So this one you prefer it because it has two carriers. It's not easier, you can swing from side to side, you can off saddle with it. But now the difference comes in, this on the pedal. This one when you back pedal, that's a brake. For it, when you back pedal this way, you see when I pedal going forward, that one, I'm increasing the speed. Now when I back pedal, you see, that's actually like a brake. You see, that's actually like a brake. So this one when you back pedal, that's like a brake. For it, you don't prefer it on highways. Simply because maybe when you rush them, by chance you happen to have back pedal, that's how you're going to build an emergency brake. And that means the highway is much more riskier unlike many other. That's why you prefer this one, the next starter. As I was paying for it. So this one people prefer it because how it's the flexibility. Being it has two carriers, a better stand, and it's much easier and compared to the Tronic and the Crane. So this one the name starter.
Okay, my name is Dixon Ozeba. Me nilikuwa nimesomea course ya procurement, economic diploma, that's supervisor. So because of COVID, kwenye kazi zilirudi chini, tukaambiwa tupunguze kidogo. So nikakaa during kuanzia 2019 mpaka almost, let's say something like one year, hakukuwa na kazi. Now that I'm a hardworking person, nikasema siwezi ngoja ile course yenye nimesomea nikitafuta kazi. Nikasema let me just maneuver around, nione kama naweza pata kazi nyingine. So there was just a friend of mine, walintroduce akasema, do you know how to ride? Nikasema I know just from that point of view. Akamwambia mimi najua kuendesha baisikeli. Akasema unaweza fanya kazi ya kudeliver. Nikasema why not? Ndio kanileta mpaka huko hivi. Tukaingia, tukafanya introduction and a road test. Tukuwa sawa. Now that I like riding, that is part of my hobbies. I like riding. Instead of being free, let me just ride because you never know about tomorrow. My greatest experience so far, when you interact with customers, you know how to speak with them. Ukiongea na mtu mzuri, still bado utastick na yeye. Secondly, imenifanya nimekuwa exposed kwa some of the routes yenye sikuwa najua. Alafu some of the customers mostly huwa wananipigia simu wakisema, oh Dixon, uko wapi? Nataka you want you to deliver us this and this and this because I always arrive in time. Okay, with me, I do it with passion. Mimi mostly huwa naamka saa 12 na nafika kazi saa 2. Naanza kazi. Because unajua daily fruit lazima uamke mapema. Early bird catches the worm. So lazima niamke mapema. Siwezi taka niseme ati ofisi wamesema waamke saa 4. Mimi naamka mapema na nawapostia kwa group naambia niko free please plan. At least wanipe order. So that wengine wakiamka mimi tayari already niko ndani. Okay, in terms of working, it depends because when I'm here, I will just post. We have a WhatsApp group so that you can post to send me to place plan because you can't just be there. Umekaa hivi, unangoja order ikuje. Unajua hauwezi pewa chakula kwa group. Unaambia dawa wakubwa wenye huko juu kwa management. Mimi niko pale plan, niko Kilimani, niko Yaya, niko pale plan so that they can identify you clearly. Kisa ukipata hiyo order imestick tu hapo hivi, wanakuambia chukua hiyo Dixon. Naona umelia sana unataka order. Okay, this is all about public relation. If you relate with a client professionally, pia atakupenda. First of all, if I can quote as an example, mimi nikichukua order napelekea client, before nipeleke nampigia simu kwanza to notify him in advance. Nimwambie mimi naitwa mtu fulani, nimechukua order yako na kuletea. ndio nime arrive at the store, lakini kuna jam kidogo. In the next kitu kama 2 minutes 3 minutes nakuwa nimefika. Kama kutakuwa na watu wengi walikuwa kwa store, na waambie in the next 10 minutes, so that hata yakikaa anajua tu nilikuwa notified kitambo, so that hata venye alikuwa amesema anakuja after 10 minutes anajua tu ni 10 minutes. Lakini sasa huwezi chukua tu order na uende tu anyhow haujambia yeye, kwa sababu yeye atakuwa tu standard ajui huyu mtu atafika saa ngapi. So the best thing what you normally do, as by my own experience, what you normally do when you take an order, you notify the client kwamba I'm so and so, I'm coming with your order, but just give me some minutes because kuna watu wengi pia wanangojea order kwa store. So yeye atakuwa anataka kijua kwa notified tayari. Me what I enjoy most, because I know this is just a green pasture, na najua in the next some few months nitakuwa nimesonga tu wapi.
Right. Economy ya mtaa pale on your streets. What are you doing? What kind of business are you involved in? Is what we are highlighting there in that segment. Interesting segment, which is having an easy background of good instrumental music, as you've heard. With gas prices at a record high, by the way, e-mobility has never been more relevant for you as an alternative to this transportation problem as before. So make sure you're checking out that. That has been EB, and it appears to be a normal single-speed bike, but if you take a look at it, they've shown there the electric motor, the battery, and a 7-speed gear system. So this gives you an extra boost and makes it easy for you to climb uphill, with half of all riders using their e-bikes daily to earn a living. So you earn a living, you solve the problem of fuel, transportation, solve the problem of traffic, and also climate change, guys. It's time that sustainable mobility became an option. If you take a look at Thika Road, the BRT buses are going to be hybrid or all electric into the future. And you've seen we've also highlighted before here Mobikes by one Brandon Ngugi, who runs Brand Electra, which is something similar to what EB is doing, providing sustainability solutions in the space of mobility, giving bikes which are electrically powered and also maybe might not use maintenance systems which rely on fuel. For example, if you take a look at the Mobikes which were being shown by Brandon. We have that on YouTube, by the way. You can check that out. Mobikes, a feature we did last year. They do not have a chain, which means you don't need oil to constantly maintain that system. They're not pumped. They do have tires which do not require you to pump them. How does that work? Check that out, and also do check out EB on all social media platforms. Here, you guys are also on social media, giving me 1, 2, 3 sentiments on what you think and also where you're tuning in from. Let me read a couple of those before I go for the next interesting bit on this show. Mose wa P anasema watching from Nairobi Saika. Wale watu wa hizo sides za Kangundo Road, asante sana for tuning in. Gikiri Ed, looking sharp, Sir Richard, thank you very much. You're tuned in from Jamaica. Say hi to the people of Jamaica, and thank you to Newton Low Kim. Tuko ndani, asante Newton. Tell us where you're watching from. Freedom is coming. Freedom is already here. As long as we are on Biashara Tuesday, that's the freedom we are concerned with. I don't know which one you're speaking about, but tuambie Newton, where are you watching from? Peter Ranking Photography and Digital Media. Tuned in from Mombasa. Big up to Ryan Ngure and Boniface Odhiambo and Richard Okenye and all the KU staff for making the show lit. Nice topics of discussion tuned in from Mombasa, Kenya. Giving a shout out to my director and my producer as well. Thank you very much, Peter Ranking, for tuning in. Karen Blessing, you're watching from Roasters. Okenya looking sharp as always. Uncle Moniz, sinajua mambo yangu haya, mambo ya pesa. Asante Karen, that's one of our hosts here on KUTV Rise Today, Art and Culture Monday. You should have watched her show yesterday. If you didn't catch it on YouTube, you'll definitely get it there. Avush Banadilod, newspaper review. Good morning, lit. We did a newspaper review earlier with Edwin, and if you missed it, make sure you're watching that. Taking a look at what we are having as the political temperatures rise in the country towards the elections slated for next week, Tuesday, the August 9th of 2022. that's what you guys are saying on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and also on YouTube. Continue giving me that feedback. Nitaisoma SMS/WhatsApp numbers are also there on your screen somewhere. Use that and I'll be able to see your feedback. Do tag me also on social media and I'll see your feedback and read it here. John Grant is joining me in a short while to discuss advancement of e-commerce and logistics. He has a very interesting solution in the space of e-commerce called ePlug. You can check out the website eplug.co.ke. In the meantime, we'll be coming back to talk more about it. If you have any questions, do send them through to us, but don't go too far. Biashara Tuesday, we'll be right back. From all the way in Nakuru County, watching us is Waithira Thuo. Thank you very much, Waithira, for watching. She's a very big fan of Biashara Tuesday, and also I know she gets plugged by Fishtown. Fishtown being one of the best plugs. But now, I have another plug for you here. Forget about the plug that you know. The best plug right about now on air, ePlug. Ako hapa hivi, Grant himself, the founder and CEO, joining me to discuss what he's offering. ePlug being, one of those e-commerce solutions that we are celebrating, and also trying to see what solutions they are offering. Logistics also, they have that as one of their unique selling points. So if you have any questions, please do send them to us. But let's get into it. Welcome to the show.
Asante sana.
Mekuaje?
Niko salama kabisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Right.
Yes.
CEO and founder and sole founder. How does that, myself, let me just speak for myself.
Yes.
When I've been involved in startup before, I've had a co-founder. And I think that's always the go-to for most people. Get someone who can help you, begin the business. You being a sole founder and CEO, how does that pressure look like? Or there's none, you've got this covered?
I mean, when you have a co-founder, at least you spread some of the burden and risks in a business.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a sole founder, you have all of it in you.
Mm-hmm.
So you are the person who will lack the sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You are the person who will make the decisions. And you are the person who should be moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as a single founder, it's a terrible journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard journey for real, but anyone should try and be a sole founder for them to realize some of the benefits it has.
Right.
Yes.
And we'll get to those benefits and challenges as well in just a short while. ePlug is trying to enhance commerce, also integrating reliable logistics in there between. You told me that you began in 2020, right? So this is 2 years into it. How's the journey so far, and what kind of solutions are you offering over at ePlug?
Well, the journey has been hard at some point, but also interesting. So in 2020, I began this business as an idea in March 13th, 2020. I remember the date very well. And I was on a train leaving Nairobi to Mombasa. Yeah, so I began generating this idea. The point that I had the first case of coronavirus. Yeah, so
it was around that time. Yes,
it was that day.
Yes. It was on that day,
2 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I have all the data of when I began. The idea started storming around my mind. So I really asked myself, if we are going to something called total lockdown, it was a new term by then, then what would be of the businesses? So this is what inspired me to begin something that would allow people continue selling while they can sell online, even when people are on total lockdown. Since delivery companies, logistics were being allowed to maneuver, yeah, you could see people still buying food, buying drinks, but the stores were closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is how the concept began, but I had to refurbish it, make it look appealing to the customers.
All right. So you have this in form of a website. Is there an application as well?
Yeah, there is presently an application. People can check it out, ePlug. So it's the simplest application you can ever use for e-commerce.
All right.
Yes.
How does that look like, the simplicity?
The simplicity is what customers look for.
Mhm.
Because when you have a business that is so complex, the customers get tired maneuvering your application or your website.
Right, the user experience becomes a bit challenging.
The user experience becomes very challenging, not just a bit, but very challenging. Yeah, if you get to see so many businesses that are online, and those that have very complicated systems, they have very low turnover. Yeah, so consumers tend to shy away from them and look for those ones that are easy to use.
Right. So you are trying to explore e-commerce and also providing, solutions towards consumers and also merchants as well. And reliability and commitment is one of those strong points you're offering. So let me maybe begin with the merchants.
Yes.
Who you get onto the platform. How is the process like? Do they onboard themselves? Do you seek them out? How do you get to meet and have them on the platform?
Yeah, let me begin by saying, in Kenya, e-commerce is still a new concept. Yeah, and while it is new, we have people complaining too much of being conned, or stores that are just registering and they do not have the exact products that they want to sell to the consumers.
Okay.
So at ePlug, we first allow you to apply. So after you apply, we'll have to visit your store physically. We have to ascertain it is legally registered in Kenya and it has the products that it claims. Yeah, so after this, it's when we can allow customers to see your store online by approving it. If it doesn't go through the systems, then we'll just not approve it. Yeah, so this is giving the consumers assurance.
That's where the reliability comes in.
Yeah.
Okay.
The assurance that the products that they are purchasing are existent and they are of quality.
So you get to test these products or get to see them and see that it's an actual business that is in existence. You don't have rogue merchants on board.
Actually, we can't test because if it is KEBS approved,
that is already done.
That's already done.
Okay.
So the only process of onboarding the merchants, which in this case we call them the vendors, yeah, we have to ensure they are legally registered and existing.
All right. Now let's get to the customer side.
Yes.
Do you also get to meet the customers and ensure they're legit, or do they onboard themselves?
Customers, you can't meet the customers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just play.
You can't meet the customers. The customers, they just purchase. So after you've given the platform to meet the businesses online, they just purchase.
All
so
right.
the only part that you interact is when they are purchasing and when the deliveries are being made.
All right. What's the customer journey like from when they get into the application or the website to the time they check out a product?
I think this is going to be one of the first in Kenya that determines a location and states to you the stores that are near you, 10-kilometer radius. So as a customer, when you first get into our site or app, the first thing you will be asked for is to activate your location. So after it reads your location, it will showcase the businesses that are around you. Yeah, so whatever you want to buy, this is what we call online window shopping. Yeah, you don't have to go and physically visit and ascertain these products are of this price, So you can check every store, their prices, quantity, whatever you want. Yeah, so after that you can purchase. Then the customer journey ends when you pay.
You pay.
Yeah.
All right. There is also, I saw a third button. There was vendors, there's customers, and there's riders.
And then the riders,
yes.
yeah.
What role do the riders play now in this whole customer journey?
Riders, they're the logistics bit of our company. So we also register riders. We have to validate them, we have to check them and train them on how to do the deliveries on time, because we have to ensure, because it is on a radius of 10 kilometers, the deliveries do not take more than 1 hour.
Mhm.
This is the maximum period that we need the deliveries to take, you know.
Mhm.
So the riders, they see the orders from the vendors, and when they see the orders, they also see where to deliver it to.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there is no much of manual way of doing things. It is automatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do the you said the vendors can get to also pick which riders are delivering the orders?
Yeah, this one, when we're actually registering vendors, we ask them to propose
some of
the
the vendors
riders.
there. Okay.
Yeah. So the ones you want to work with, the ones that are near you, you trust them that they will deliver these products. Yeah. So after you've proposed, we have to train them. We have to check their licenses, and there are so many things that we check for a rider. Valid license and ID, and you have to have a motorbike. Yes.
of course, you have to have a motorbike.
But also, we are open to bikers, not bikers, cyclists.
Okay.
So if you want to do business with us, there is also another procedure that we onboard the cyclists as our riders. Yeah, and they get to earn.
Yeah, we just talked about how people can earn a living from getting some of these bikes like EB and more bikes. So yeah, maybe also do onboard yourself over at ePlug and to do deliveries that are nearest to, because as you said, using proximity to determine where the orders are coming from. Logistics is one of those unique selling points that you mentioned. You guys have reliability and all that commitment towards customer satisfaction. Are there any other selling points that you can maybe point to us out that we can see and separate from the rest of other e-commerce players?
Yeah, the ability to see stores that are near you, only those that are near you. Yeah, so this gives it an easy point to get your deliveries on time. So if you are right now in KU, you can't purchase something from Rongai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a bit far.
Yeah. Another thing, it also gives the businesses the ease of communicating to their customers, creating a community with them, and then selling to them. So as a vendor, you can market yourself to be a vendor in ePlug to your customers.
Right.
Yeah, so it is easier for them to do business, create a community. Actually, this one creates an online community for trade purposes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As we mentioned before that e-commerce is new in Kenya, especially boosted by this COVID-19 pandemic and the need for us to move online. Do you feel like we have made the necessary technological advancements to be able for us to interact on such platforms, for people like you to thrive in the e-commerce space? Are we there?
I think we've been there. Kenyans are just cautious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kenyans are cautious about change. This is one thing that makes it so hard for some businesses to thrive. Right now, you've talked about e-bike. Maybe they are cautious about this. Is it something that is safe? Can we use it? But as long as you give them the assurance, they will on board. I was reading an article the other day about e-commerce in Kenya and how it will grow in the near future. So they were stating that by 2025 e-commerce will thrive 300%. Yeah, right now. Annually it grows 40%. That's a thriving market.
Right.
So you will see so many e-commerce services online that are coming through. We have so many that are multi-vendor, different business models. Yeah, I think Kenya is progressing well. Yeah, I think we are doing well. In Africa, we are doing great.
We're doing really great.
Yeah.
And of course, we have some of the most famed e-commerce platforms, and we'll get to that in just a bit. However, are there any other expansion plans that you have or integration plans you have from what you already currently offer? Is there some other services you feel like you can add to improve on that reliability?
ePlug is still young. I can say it's still young. So we are still on our market viable product, which is our first product. If you sign up right now, you will see only liquor stores. But in a moment, because these are things that we've coded, we have them ready. you will see supermarkets, because we want it to be easy for our customers to purchase from any supermarket around them. At your convenience. Anytime you want to purchase from the supermarkets, as long as the stores are open, you can purchase from them. And also we are intensive on agriculture. We are having people to train us about agriculture, the Kenyan agricultural systems, and anything agriculture that we can include in our website, and to train farmers as well. So these are things that are coming up. But the current product is only the liquor stores that we are doing our awareness and penetration in the market. But later on, we'll diversify to supermarkets and agriculture.
Okay. I've been looking at iplag.co.ke, I think, and you should too. The first thing they've asked me is if I'm above 18 years old. So you're not selling to people underage, or just for the liquor stores? Because I've just gone directly to the liquor stores.
By law, you should have that. Even if you are a liquor vendor, you should write not for sale to people under
age of 18 years.
Yeah, anywhere. So if I didn't put it there, maybe it would be an illegal platform right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So by law, I have to put it there.
All right. You're getting into a space where, as we've mentioned, there are other giants, which include Jumia, Glovo, Sky Garden, just to mention a few. And now we have iplag. Of course, you have that extra unique selling points that, of course, separates you from the rest.
Yeah.
However, they've been there for quite some time. They are backed. They have the funding. They have all the human resource. They have the experience in the market longer than from 2020 to now. How do you feel you're going to make an impact to separate you from all this?
Actually, e-commerce is very wide and diverse. When you speak about Jumia, Kilimall, Sky Garden, they're all multi-vendor, but our model is very different. You know, they base their model on warehouses, but we don't.
Okay.
Yeah. To us, it is on demand. So when you need it, you get it.
You get it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like the new Nakumat.
Yeah. So when you need it, you get it. So that is one of the unique points that we have. But we have one of our inspirations. Of course, Glovo is a global company, but there are points that we have that are more advanced than them, even though they have huge funding and all that, customer base. Yeah, but we have an automatic system that gives independence to the vendors and the riders that maybe they do not have. Yeah, so we have so many unique selling points that will make us thrive in this market.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's talk about funding. I know I've mentioned that people like Jumia are already listed in the stocks exchange in London and all of that. People like Glovo, your inspiration, have a lot of funding behind them. How has your journey to look for funding been so far in this Nairobi, Kenya ecosystem?
We are not lucky as Kenyans. The funding is for a few. Sometimes we see some companies that are being funded and ask ourselves, what did they see in them?
In them that they don't see in
me.
me.
They don't see in me. Yeah, but actually we've sought for funding for 1 year now. Yeah, we've approached so many investors. But there is always the stages. There's a stage that we were pre-seed. It's hectic.
A lot.
In pre-seed, in Kenya, for you to get some funding, it's so hard.
You have little traction by then.
Yeah, so you'll find so many investors. They need that traction. We consulted. I think one of the main companies that we consulted was IFC. IFC gave us a leeway to come back when we have traction for 1 year. Yeah, so if you have that traction for 1 year, they'll have to read our statements and see how much they can finance our services.
Okay.
So, but the others, as a Kenyan, as a black founder, it gets so hard for these whites to trust you.
Have you considered to get a white co-founder? Maybe as a white factor?
At some point, you feel like you need the money. and that would be the only way, but it wasn't my only way. Yeah, I had to get off that point.
Okay.
That thought. So
Had to let it go.
I had to let it go because I have been bootstrapping ever since, and every other thing, every other little business that I would handle, the income I would get some amount for e-plug. To continue the services.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that people rush for funding for is to make the business progress faster. Yeah, but when I learned that sometimes you just have to take time to learn the model that really works.
Before you get that, before you accelerate the scaling of the business.
Yeah, I had to opt for customer funded business instead. Yeah, so customer funded business is where you sell to customers. The income the profits that you get is what funds the business activities. But then we also have the investor funded business, where you have the angel investors, you have venture capital firms that come on board. You give them equity or it comes as debt. Yeah. So
you prefer to go to the customer.
I prefer to go to the customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a problem with the ecosystem? Maybe just a segue, since we've just started on this startup conversation.
Yeah.
Is there a problem in the ecosystem in that we are lacking more? We're lacking enough black venture capitalists, such that we have to maybe sell ourselves in a certain way to these non-black investors?
I think Kenya, as at now, it should have some black investors.
People who understand the landscape.
Yeah, I saw there was a company that just came up the other day. It's called Front End Ventures. It's for Kenyans. They had around $10 million that they want to give to startups. Yeah, but then they don't. I didn't see a way that they want to consult these businesses or anything. I just saw an advertisement for Front End Ventures. But then the accomplished venture capitalist firms, they are non-black.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
Let
white.
me just say they're non-black. No, they are. We have Asians, Brazilians.
Well,
yeah. So they are non-black. So for them to understand our models is also hard. That's why gaining funding or raising funding from them gets hard. In the US, you would have an idea of just selling using your motorbike,
and you get funding.
It's as simple as that. But then in Kenya, you know, it gets hard. So when you try to give them this idea, they don't see it as something that would thrive. They don't fund you.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes also it is important that we, as you said, we get to see what kind of direction we want our business to go.
Yeah.
Whether you want funding as quick as possible to accelerators, which might get us to a point where we are forgetting what business we had started with in the beginning.
Yeah. First, let me mention this. You have Twitter. To me, I use Twitter as a school. Yeah, I learn a lot from it. So many people who raise, they lose themselves and that appeal for their businesses to the customers. You'll see we had an unfortunate instance of Kune Foods that I don't know how it went.
They were coming in to solve a problem that
has already been solved, because you can't say there is no cheap food in Kenya. Yeah, that you're the one who's going to provide cheap food in Kenya.
Yes.
So people lose themselves. You'll see there are so many companies that raise funding and then they lose themselves. They continue raising. So the point that you raise in the pre-seed, you'll need to raise in the seed stage. Series A, B,
up to C.
You'll need to raise, and then you'll get to a point where there's a block. The investors they need to earn from the business, but there's nothing they are gaining. You'll need to lay off your employees. you'll need to. Jumia started charging higher commissions, but they lowered. You know, Uber is not a profitable business at all.
Yes.
Because they continue raising all the time. Yeah, so that is where you lose your business.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Back to ePlug. I think
Yes.
we've gotten a lot into that startup conversation, but it's important that you are aware, as someone who's starting out, maybe trying to look for funding, trying to make their footing in this ecosystem, to be aware of some of those challenges that are there in the ecosystem. Let's speak to specifically the challenges at ePlug in terms of logistics, getting merchants and getting customers to sign up. What have been the bottlenecks you've had to pass over so far?
One of the major challenges of the system, because as an entrepreneur, maybe I'm not a techie. You know, the first techie I ever worked with, you know, I never knew at that point that he was also starting
his own thing.
Yeah, so at that point you don't know whether whatever he's developed is really working or not. You know, my first app failed terribly. It failed terribly, and at this point I had gone to some investors who also took these ideas their own.
Oh, took copy pasted the idea.
Yeah, because now mine was not working since my techie. I think he was not skilled enough at that point. But I hope he went back and learned,
and learned a few
things, yeah, about tech and improved. Yeah, so those are some of the challenges. And then, of course, financing the business is also another major challenge, because you will have to skip so many things. It will take time for you to finance some aspects of the business. Yeah, if you don't have funding. But I find it also an interesting journey, because if you make a business your baby, you know, you'll nourish it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You'll take care of it.
You'll take care of it. But you'll have to, they always say, in order to gain something, you lose something.
Yes.
Of course, there are some aspects that you will lose, maybe a lifestyle that you wanted at first. Yeah, so these are some of the challenges.
Sacrifices you have to make.
Yeah, you have to make the sacrifices. So on to the challenges, majorly finance and the system that I've faced.
Are there regulatory challenges, maybe getting of licenses, operating licenses, business licenses like that in Kenya especially? You know, that's a challenge.
An interesting bit is that in Kenya they don't license e-commerce.
Oh, okay.
They still don't have the law. So we are still enjoying it. But they tax us.
A lot.
Yeah. As long as you have a registered company or business, you can do e-commerce. But they don't license, because you'll operate in different places. Because I don't operate in Nairobi alone. Right now, yesterday I was in Rwaka registering one of the big liquor stores there. That is in Kiambu. So where will I be licensed?
All right, because that's a different county government.
But we always have that 15% tax that was proposed by the legislators. We have to pay it.
Heavily.
Heavily.
All right. What is the future looking like for ePlug as we try and wind up?
ePlug
and e-commerce in Africa, because I know that expansion even across Africa is one of those things you have in mind.
Yeah, my model can work in any market. That's something that I ensured, so that one day if ePlug progresses beyond Nairobi and Kenya, I'll be able to invest in other countries. So this model is something that is not dependent on this country alone. Yeah, so it can work anywhere. The future for ePlug, I find the little research that I've done, because that is part of entrepreneurship, you have to do some research, is that customers really need some of these services. Yeah, there are services that I wish to offer, that if I offer them, I know I'll expand exponentially. ePlug will be a phenomenon, and it will be the first Kenyan-owned e-commerce that is thriving in the market.
Yeah, right? Because all the e-commerce platforms we are aware of right now at least the top 10 or top 5.
They are foreign owned.
They are foreign owned, yeah? Or at least half foreign owned.
Yeah.
So that's as far as you know. eplug.co.ke is where you can check out to see some of those e-commerce services or the vendors. If you're a vendor who wants to sign up, make sure that you're checking it out, and then they'll come through to your location. Do the vendors pay to be on the platform?
No, they don't pay anything.
Okay, you don't pay anything. And if you're a customer, you don't pay anything apart from what you're ordering. So make sure that you do check them out and see if it works for you. They use proximity as one of those things. I really love that, especially when I have a solution I can filter through and reduce the journey, because convenience is the whole point of e-commerce from the very beginning. Mr. Grant, CEO, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you for having me on the show.
All right. I'm going for a short break right about now, and then I'll be back with much more on Matters of Biashara Tuesday. Continue interacting with us on social media, KUTV Kenya, at Richard_OKENYE. Don't go too far.
So be sure to try this at home. It's a fun experience.
Bila shaka, mbiu ya mgambo ikilia, kuna jambo. Na sasa, katika KUTV Rise Today, makala ya TBT. Tunaongeza kuni, tunawasha moto. Tunaingia barabarani kuangalia hali ilivyo. Takwimu za korona na kupa. Habari zinazojiri na zinazokuhusu na kujuza na kukumbusha yaliyotendeka siku kama hii ndani ya historia. Kisha na kuletea wageni na wataalam, tudadavui, tufahamu na tuchukue nafasi yetu kama vijana katika uongozi, uchumi na masuala ya kisiasa nchini. Na joto likizidi, tunaingia uwanjani, tunachambua spoti ya Kenya. Ni kila Alhamisi saa 1 hadi saa 4 asubuhi, nami Vincent Maina almaarufu Ojwang mtoto wa Mariam, ndani ya KUTV, a new experience.
On this episode of Tech Innovation Show, we bring you an innovation that brings convenience to our sisters.
I decided to come up with this project where I can help girls during their menstruation period, especially girls from informal settlement who cannot afford to purchase pads. When you tap a registered RFID card, it will send a signal to the relay. Then it will activate this two servo motor to release sanitary pads which are packed in these boxes.
The percentage in which government is giving opportunities to this specific type of groups under the AGPO, like what percentage has the government given?
No, but like I said, you see, when a budget is done for every year, every ministry will be able to place their budget for it. But whatever is given to them, 30% of the budget for that ministry is dedicated to AGPO. 30%. So if let's assume, for instance, that a ministry is given 2 billion, for instance. Now, 30% of 2 billion would be about 600,000? 600 million. That will be dedicated to AGPO. And therefore, when you go to a ministry, as a young person, as a person living with disability, 600 million is actually meant for you.
This is The Agenda with Benturo Komboka and Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Biashara Tuesday, hashtag Biashara Tuesday, every single platform that you're on. ePlug just came off air, and it's a brand owned and registered for e-commerce. What they're doing is transforming online sales for businesses, that is vendors and customers, and also introducing a reliability aspect through logistics. So if you're a rider, you have a motorbike, you have a bicycle, and you want to become a rider on those platforms, ensure that you're checking out eplug.co.ke. One good thing is that they're saying they're going to be the first e-commerce platform fully Kenyan owned. Of course, having the sole founder and CEO here, CEO Grant himself, telling us what kind of expansion plans they have. And if you are looking to fund them, you'll have to have a discussion with them and take it slow. They're taking it slow, step by step is how they're doing it, and not trying to rush and shut down sooner than they open. So ePlug e-commerce services, of course, in this digital era, very important. On social media at KUTV Kenya is where we are sampling all the feedback at, and I've been looking at Facebook, seeing here on Twitter as well. The dog father, anasema is tuning in from Juja. Papa Shams, anasema ako all the way in Nakuru, also tuning in to hashtag Biashara Tuesday. And Agency 254, Agency 254, I think we've had the CEO here before also on a discussion on business, but they're also watching the show. Thank you very much. Nanyuki Billionaire, tune again. Sante, say hi to the people of Laikipia County as you continue to tune in to Biashara Tuesday. We are still on. We're going to take a look at a couple of things which are developing in your world, and then relaying them back to you right about now. And we begin with stories of donkey slaughtering. A petition on the ban of illegal donkey slaughter has been filed by donkey owners in the country after an upsurge in the number of lost donkeys. Donkey Owners in Nairobi County Association Chairman, Donkey Owners Nairobi County Association Chairman Stephen Kamuiru has called on the government to hasten the fight in the ongoing trend that has affected the livelihoods of those donkey farmers.
Donkey owners in Ruai, Nairobi County have raised complaints on re-emergence of illegal donkey slaughter in neighboring Machakos, Nyandara and other counties, fearing that the trend might extend into the city. The government had termed donkey slaughter as illegal in 2020, where later in 2021, the court allowed specific areas to slaughter donkeys, like in Lamu. However, currently donkey owners have filed a petition asking for the ban of the slaughter since they depend on them to earn a living. The donkey farmers from Githunguri Group say that donkeys have helped in various activities like family provision.
Vitu ni mingi ambavyo punda imetusaidia pale mahali ambapo naishi.
Wakati ule kazi iko chini, ninaweza kupata hata 400, 300, kitu kama hiyo, na inakuwa ni msaada kwetu.
Nimeuza maji na hiyo imenisaidia kwa manufaa mengi. Nimenunua pikipiki yangu pale na ni juu ya punda. Nyumba nalipa sababu ya punda. Kwa hivyo punda kwangu, punda iko na manufaa na nailinda kama venye naweza jilinda mimi mwenyewe.
However, the farmers have also complained that due to reduced rainfall, causing less grass has led to the thinning of donkeys to an extent they cannot carry huge loads.
Vile hakuna mvua tunateseka. Hata leo asubuhi ndivyo nilikuwa najiuliza nitakuwa nanunua nyazi ama nitatafuta vijana niwaandike wanileteage nyazi na magunia.
Donkey Owners Chairman Nairobi County, Stephen Kamwiru, called upon the security organs to be alert and prevent further cases of donkey slaughtering.
Kwa hivyo tunasema hako kadogo kamebakia, serikali tuangalilie, pia mkulima akiangalia punda yake, kwa sababu ishinjio ilichinjwa zile zinaenda humuhumu.
Farmers have also been advised to join groups where they can access feeds from the counties less affected by drought. Nyambura Kabura, KUTV.
All right, let's move on to, before we move on, donkey slaughtering, quite interesting, right? And I don't know, I've not seen a lot of butcheries in my area, but if you're near a donkey slaughtering center, I'd love to know how many times have you had donkey meat that you know of? Of course, you've had a lot of times where you've eaten donkey meat without knowing, but I'd love to know the numbers you've deliberately had. Over, the Coastal Regional Commissioner, John Elungata, has warned those who are tempted to use drugs to create violence during the election campaigns that they are on watch. According to Elungata, it is necessary for the young people to avoid politicians who are leading them towards drug abuse and addiction.
Thank you. Hakuna wakati tutasuspend sheria ati kwa sababu kuna kampeni inaendelea ama kuna uchaguzi unaendelea. Kwa sababu ile nexus, uhusiano kati ya mihadarati, ulevi na vurugu wakati wa uchaguzi inaonekana. Kwa hivyo tunataka kuzuia hiyo isitokee. Kuna polisi wanatumiwa kulinda amani, kujenga amani, kama vile machifu wako hapa. Ni kazi yao. Machifu huwezi kuwatoa kwa wananchi. Machifu wako na wananchi kila wakati.
Across the borders, on the latest on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, relatives of the captured Ukrainian soldiers have held a demonstration in Kiev demanding information on the situation of their loved ones. Russian shells have hit several key cities in Ukraine. However, Irpin has been able to survive the impact of the war, hosting a rehabilitation center that remains intact and is accepting patients, most of whom were in the country's push to repel Russian forces.
Denis Pogrebny is a Ukrainian army veteran who suffered a spine injury while serving in the East. After surgery last year, Pogrebny arrived at the Next Step Ukraine Rehab Center on crutches. But after 4 weeks of hard work, he no longer needs them.
I want to recover and go back to my brothers on the front lines.
Volodymyr Tovkis was shot in the head September 2019 in the Donetsk region. He was in a coma for 2 weeks and had surgery to relieve the pressure on his brain. After he had stabilized, he also came here for rehabilitation.
I feel so comfortable here. I even met guys from my former squad. It feels like family.
The Next Step Ukraine Rehab Center was founded 3 years ago by Revived Soldiers Ukraine, a US-based non-profit organization. Irina Vashuk-Disipio, a US-based Ukrainian-American and president of the organization, started helping injured Ukrainian soldiers in 2014 when Russia occupied part of Donbas. Later, after the center opened, she raised funds, assembled a team of professionals, and equipped it with modern equipment. Next Step Ukraine, located just outside Kiev, miraculously survived the Russian occupation, says Center Director Tetiana Hrubenyuk.
The staff took away expensive equipment and evacuated the center's patients.
The center reopened after Irpin was liberated in early April. But as the war drags on, the number of patients is growing, says Hrubenyuk. The center also now accepts civilians with war injuries. Serviceman Cheerful has been coming for 6 weeks now. In February, he was shot in the knee in the Donetsk region. Now he's working to return to the ranks.
Because I was lying down for a long time, my knee contracted and it does not fully bend. Now it bends at 70 degrees. But when I came here, it was 30 to 35 degrees.
The president of Revived Soldiers Ukraine plans to launch a second center in the western part of the country. It too will be funded by US donations.
A lot of our patients are disabled and temporarily cannot walk. And while Russian troops are standing on the Belarusian border, it is too risky to invite these guys for rehabilitation, because we won't be able to evacuate from here if the Russians strike again.
Since Russia invaded, Revived Soldiers Ukraine not only has helped rehabilitate soldiers and civilians, but also provided the military with assistance worth over $5 million.
So next week on Tuesday, at a time like this, Kenyans will be involved in one of the biggest events that Kenya has witnessed in the past 5 years, the general elections of Kenya for 2022, which means on Tuesday I'll also be out there trying to exercise my democratic right. And as we do that, it's important that we understand, especially from an economic perspective, how political agenda can be used in shaping a conducive environment for business. And taking a look at the business or the Daily Nation this morning on the pull-out section, Powering SMEs, a very interesting piece that I'm calling out for all the young people out there or all the youth or businessmen to have a look at. A question being asked, are the manifestos being peddled by these politicians in favor of entrepreneurs? And I think to serve as a closing remark, I will read the last paragraph of this interesting piece by Patrick Wameo, who is a financial literacy coach at Financial Academy and Technologies. But before that, remember this is KUTV Rise Today. This has been Biashara Tuesday. It comes to you every single Tuesday morning, and it is from 7 in the morning to 10 a.m. where we discuss business, technology, the economy, and everything there that helps you make money or lose it. For that matter, NSC has bounced back after the stocks went plummeted, a period where foreign investors ditched the market for more developed countries. Local investors snatched up those stocks, and I did advise all of you guys to go and pick some stocks. Still can do that because the market is still on a low. Get that and reap the benefits even after elections. As you've heard from the central bank, that is Patrick. That is governor of the central bank, Mr. Patrick. They are saying that the projections for growth, 5.4%, will still be ongoing regardless of the elections or the inflation we're currently experiencing. So do take advantage of that and watch the whole show. If you missed it, it will be there on Facebook where we'll be streaming live, and bits of it on YouTube later on for you to catch up. Now, here, Patrick Omeo is saying, there are no schools for teaching you hard work, drive, honesty, and determination, the building blocks of entrepreneurship success. Our so-called economists who are writing these manifestos are either dishonest or have never owned a business. They are out of touch with the practical capacity development requirements which are envisioned in Vision 2030, even though it has been tested as a model across here in Rwanda. They have not offered any lasting solutions for medium and small enterprises and entrepreneurship development. It is another 5 years of empty promises and a new pillar and a new pile of at least 5 million more jobless youth. Think about that as you go to vote. Make sure you're peaceful. Until next time, if you need breakfast in bed, sleep in the kitchen.
This is Hendrik Sam. Africa, I'm writing you a love letter. Hope the message make you feel better. Now we know better, we gon' do better. So you better be a go-getter. Oh la la, oh la la.